Hey, welcome back to another edition of Everything Football 62. I'm your host, Jonathan Big Tex Johnson, a.k.a. Uncle Tex, a.k.a. Professor Tex. Before we get started, smash that like button, share with a friend, subscribe to the page. If you got any questions, comments, or concerns, please leave them down below. We'll have a little respectful conversation back and forth. Again, let's keep it respectful. Like I say all the time, it's just sports, people. It's just football, baby. That's it. Let me first start with this here, man. As y'all well know, I did a show, I think it was last week before last, one of them weeks. And I said to all the cult followers of MJ, Michael Jordan, I said, well, if Michael Jordan is the GOAT, I simply asked them because I've seen it before. I answered a lot. I replied to a lot of comments that was in my comments box there, and I replied to quite a bit of them. Now, a lot of them went overboard, got the diarrhea at the fingers, just like I can at certain times. But I get the gist of what a lot of them were saying, so I didn't have to go that further and whatnot. So what I asked was, well, if he's that, and the NBA acknowledges that, I simply asked the question, well, if he's that, and you see the thumbnail that I have is of him and Jerry West at the 75th year anniversary team talking and whatnot, I said, well, then why isn't Michael Jordan silhouette the NBA, part of the NBA logo like Jerry West is? Now, Jerry West was supposed to epitomize who played from 1960 or 61 to 1974. So he played 14 years. Jerry West lost, what I think was it, 7 finals? He won 1, but he lost 7 finals. But he's supposed to be the epitome of what a basketball player was or is at that particular time. So they use him as a logo. Now I had several people come, well, that ain't him, and he didn't get a dime for it, and all this type of BS. No, he represents that. They said he's the guy, gutty, he's this, he's that, and Jerry West was all of that. That's not to take into. I've seen plenty of documentaries, plenty of highlights and everything. He was a straight baller. No questions asked. He was just that. And by the time he was in they came up with the logo, I think in his 9th year? When you put him as the face of your league and you're using him as a silhouette, because everybody now is talking crazy. Well, he didn't get that because everybody knows the money aspect of the NBA. Nobody was talking about that BS back then, but almost 60 years ago. But now they want to talk about it now, using it in the terms of because everybody knows what everybody makes. Everybody's pocket watching because it's all about quote unquote money. He didn't get a dime for that. And I simply asked, how do you know that? You don't know that. If I was Jerry West and I was getting money for, I don't care if it was $200 a day or $200 a year, you would never know. Or if it was $1 million a year, you would never know. I'm sure he's getting something from that, and where his great grandkids will be able to eat off of that. But that's another story. That's really not what this is about. I simply asked that particular question. I got a bunch of other this and that and stuff like that about it. Now, my point of it is that Jordan has all this hardware. He has all this hardware. And took the game from one level. Magic and Bird, when they came in, took the game that was bottom just about because it was thuggish. It was all this kind of stuff. Tape delayed. Everybody who's around my age remembers that stuff. I'm about to be 57. Remembers that. And we're talking about championship games. Right? Tape delayed basis. Now, with them, by the time Magic, Bird coming there, it goes to a whole nother level. Brought the popularity back in, brought everybody was tuning in. Jordan comes in 84, 85. First game, if I'm not mistaken, was October 26, 1984. For those that don't know, June 7th, 1946 is the actual inauguration of the NBA. Just for those that don't know, because a lot of people who's under 40 think the NBA started in 1984. Now, that's a little jab, but y'all know what I'm talking about. As if nobody played basketball until that point. But, again, I digress. So, like I was saying, so then Jordan did. Everybody knows Jordan did. I would never sit up there and say that Jordan is what Jordan is. That's not even up for debate. The debate comes in is the greatest of all time. And last year, a year and a half or so ago, as I mentioned on that on that broadcast, I said, well, I watched because I am a, cigar enthusiast, not an aficionado, enthusiast, and whatnot. I watched him with the cigar aficionado guy give an interview about an hour, so you can probably find it somewhere on YouTube or whatever, or go into the archive of cigar aficionado, and they talked about that. They asked him about that, and I saw several other videos with him, and he's literally kind of like, he thinks it's kind of like silly. I never played against those guys. And what people don't do or don't know because they want to, because everybody has diarrhea at the mouth as well as fingers, they have this thing where it's like, yeah, he going all crazy for what he did and all of this other type of stuff. And I'm talking about it's on the court prowess. I'm not talking about off the field stuff. I don't care about that. Off the court stuff. And he kind of thinks it's silly. And like, it just doesn't make any sense to him. I never played against those guys because I can't say it. Everybody has a particular era. Jordan, if I'm not mistaken, was born in 61 or 62. So when Jerry West and Wilt and Bill Russell and Tommy Heinsohn and Sam Jones and Elgin Baylor and all of those guys was doing their things, Jordan was shitting on himself. He was getting changed by his mother and father. So he didn't go against them. Guys are old enough to be his son. They're old enough to be his father. Because his father probably is around the same age as a lot of them guys. They were probably born in the mid to late 30s, early 40s possibly. Right? So that's what was said. A lot of them guys probably in the 30s or whatever. And that goes that. So he's a little embarrassed by that, and he said you can't even do that. But the MJ cult followers will go on and be on these shows and talk about this and keep going with this useless GOAT debate. It's useless. It's fucking useless. It's cute to talk about. I won't even talk about it. And I kind of think of myself as that of a historian of the game, especially when it comes to football. I used to follow all sports at one point in time, but football is my major sport. And if give me about 6 months to a year, I could get down with basketball and baseball. Because at one time, because back when you had to go to the library and you had to go look these things up, that's how I found out a lot of information that I found out through that. This just makes it easier to go look up because now everybody can upload information and you can find it just with a click. As opposed to checking out all kinds of books, magazines, hopefully catch a documentary or something like that. That's how I found out about it, basically through the library. As I was taught once, where the lies are buried. Now, NFL, NBA, Major League Baseball, 3 major sports in this country. And we talk about this GOAT stuff. I don't include women because I don't watch women's sports and I don't care about women's sports. Never have, never will. Because this GOAT talk wasn't even really talked about. I go back to the great Muhammad Ali. He's the greatest of all time. He didn't acronym it as the GOAT. That LL Cool J would come to do that almost 30 years later and said that. And now it hobbled around in the early 2000s. And all of a sudden in the past 5 or 6 years, everybody uses that. Everybody uses that. What's funny about that, if anybody want to get deeper about that, the GOAT was also known as something as Baphomet and all this other type of stuff that dealt with demonic shit. But again, that's another story. For those that know. Now, in the religious world. Now, going back to the subject at hand. What I said was, and that why it's useless, is because those sports that I named, they are still active in this day and time. They're still active. They're still active. So nobody during the time of Julius Erving and the basketball world at this time when he's dunking and doing all the stuff he's doing in the ABA and going into the NBA, it was some kid in Carolina named Michael Jordan, probably had a couple of different nicknames, was trying to play basketball, and nobody knew anything about him. Nobody saw him coming because time was still going on. And then he came in his high school team, then the College of Carolina, then he goes into the pros, and then the rest is history. As I've said this time and time again, he would still be one of the greatest period of all time. If you want to keep saying that term, he would be that regardless. But Michael Jordan came in at the perfect storm. Hip hop was taking off. When you think of basketball, for me, I could be wrong, but when I think of basketball, I think of New York. I think Michael's old man might have been in the military and he was born in Brooklyn or whatever, but his roots are obviously in Carolina. But all the greats and all the what's it called? The playground legends and all them guys and stuff like Earl Goat, Madrigal, Pee Wee Kirkland, all them other guys that talked about, Lewis and all those guys and whatnot, Rutgers Park and all that stuff like that. That's based in New York. And you got to give it up. Got to give it up to that, right? That whole aura of the street baller and stuff like that. Now, I could be wrong in that, but I kind of pretty much think I'm right on that. Them guys did all that type of stuff. Nobody seen him coming. Nobody knew. Nobody. Gilbert Arenas made a particular quote, said on one of his shows. And Arenas, as I've been checking him out over the past 5 or 6 months, now my man is all the clowning shit that he does. When it comes to that basketball history and breaking shit down, oh yeah, he can get down. He simply said something that I said a while back. I mean, just to myself, just amongst them, because that wasn't about my show's about football. I'm saying this because I'm getting ready to go through 2 sports, football and basketball, of 2 leagues that has a plethora of Hall of Famers in the Hall of Fame and great players on their anniversary teams of all time, of the first 75 or 100 years of their league that played in supposedly lesser leagues, right? But are no longer around because they either merged or no longer are around. Let's start, so saying all that, so we start right now, as you see on the page there. Here you have the AFL all-time team, which I think was probably picked in 1970. They had their little 10-year run, 60 to 9. Remember the NFL at 50 years and all that? They had their 10-year patch and stuff like that in 69. Okay? Lost the first 2 Super Bowls that was played when the merger, whatnot, right before the merger and all that other kind of stuff, all that kind of stuff going on and everything. Pretty much know the history of that and everything. The question is that now you have Lance Alworth, Hall of Famer, Pro Football Hall of Fame. Don Maynard, Pro Football Hall of Fame. Ron Mix, Pro Football Hall of Famer. Jim Otto, Pro Football Hall of Famer. Jim Tyre. I don't know if Billy Shaw's up in there, but he was a legend and whatnot in the AFL. Jim Tyre, who is just as equivalent to Ron Mix, just as good, had a great career. I might talk about this later. Unfortunately, tragically, he's not in the Hall of Fame due to personal things that end up happening between him and his wife and murder-suicide stuff and everything like that, which is, I think, why they put him up. You're talking about some guy that was a 6-time Pro Bowler, 6-time All-Pro. Let's look it up right quick. 6-time All-Pro, 9-time Pro Bowler. Okay? And why he's not in the Hall of Fame, I know why. It's because of that. It can't be with anything else when he's just as equivalent as Mix, and he has a championship in the AFL and has championship in the NFL when they beat the when they beat the Vikings. Let's keep moving. Joe Willie Namath took the game, is why the game is now, is because of him. George Blanda. So right now, and we're just talking about on offense, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's 6 on offense. Go to the defense. Jerry Mays, questionable, I'm not sure. The great Bobby Bell, first outside linebacker inducted in the Pro Football Hall of Fame. First black outside linebacker inducted in the Pro Football Hall of Fame. Nick Bonicani. George Webster was nice. Old man Willie Brown, Hall of Famer. Jerry Robinson, Hall of Famer. So you looking at, again, so it was 6 on offense, and 6 and 7, 8, 9, 10. So 6 on offense, 4 on defense. And Weeb Ewbank as the coach of that team, who's a Hall of Famer. AFL no longer exists. We can do an all-time team because they no longer exist. That's why they did it in 1970, came up with the list of the all-time thing. And you can't take that away. Why? Because they no longer exist. So you can do an all-time team with them because they no longer exist. You can't do that with the NFL, NBA, Major League Baseball, NHL hockey, and a lot of great players in all of those sports. But you cannot sit up there and say of all time while the league is still playing. Did anybody in 1977 or 78 in the NFL know, well, this is going to be this guy Tom Brady's going to come along. He's going to have 7 NFL championships and then they're going to 6 with the Pats and 1 with Tampa Bay Buccaneers. You don't see it coming. You don't know. You don't fucking know, man. You don't know. So what is the debate about? All of these guys have gold jackets. All of those guys, exception a few here and there, everything is going to always be funny with that of Joe Namath because of the numbers. His numbers are kind of skewed, but he did certain things first. When you start doing things first, and then on top of that, then you have a historical thing. When you beat a team that you're 20-some points underdog, you got a certain type of swagger to come with you. You're the first to throw for 4,000 yards. Right? The first with a $400,000 contract, which is worth $3 or $4 or $5 million back then. Something like that, which is insane. Sonny Werbler knew what he was doing. Epic showdowns with Johnny Unitas. They beat the Colts and whatnot. And what he did, because he, with his knees, was so jacked up, they didn't think he was going to play no more than 2 or 3 years in the NFL. And that's all he wanted. He said, I just want to be able to have said I played in the NFL. And the mark, indelible, I don't know how you say it, indelible mark or whatever, or that mark put him in the Hall of Fame in the class of 1985. Took him a while, but because his numbers are not that great, but he did great thing. He was a gunslinger, whatever you want to call it, and stuff like that. Yeah, he threw a lot of interceptions. He might actually have more interceptions than he has touchdowns or whatnot. But what he did from the time he came in the league in 60, 65, 66, 67, 68, 69 for a 4 or 5 year stretch, throwing that ball and the things that he accomplished and the things that he was the first doing and morphed the game into what you see today. He has to go in the Hall of Fame and has to be considered one of the greatest of all time in that league. So in that league, now you had Darryl LaMonica, who I think was just as good, if not better. Hadel, Kemp, Lynn Dawson. At least 3 or 4 quarterbacks probably better than him. They were on better teams. And whatnot, but this is what he did. So this is the greatest of all time team of the AFL. And I have no problem with that. Why? Because they're no longer around. So you can make a greatest of all team team. You can do that. There's no question of that whatsoever. So I have no argument. It's no debate. There's no debate. Because they're finished and they're not going on. There is no other players that can come on and play the AFL. Because the AFL is done. It merged with the NFL. Beautiful sight that this gentleman, whoever put it up. And keep going. There's some picture I want to show you. Here is the team of the 60s. All-decade team of the 60s. We have 1, 2, 3, 4. You have 4 AFL players, the debunked AFL players, that are on the all-decade team of the 60s. 4. You have probably one of the top 10 wide receivers that ever played the game, who is the MVP of that all-decade team or greatest of all-time team or whatever all-decade team, Bambi Lance Allworth. The numbers he put up will be putting him in all-pro if he played in today's era. 6 foot, 185, 190. Call him Bam because of the way that he ran. Everybody knows the story and stuff like that. 4 guys on there. I think Mix was like the first AFL player, then Bambi came along. We could do that with the AFL. Now, that's the all-time team, greatest of all-time players on that particular team. I've already showed you that. No argument. That debate is done. These guys come up and still be talking about this greatest of all time shit with all this, and it's like, for what? Why are you arguing over something that is going to be subjective because you're going to just keep coming up with stuff, and really it's a useless debate at the end of the day. Let's do this for shits and giggles. The all-time ABA team, American Basketball Association, it got debunked or was finished up. I forget when, or I think 75, 76 or something like that, when they close it down and whatnot and everything. But we go check it out. The Rick Barrys, Louis Dampier, Dan Issel, Bob, I don't know how to say his name. Here's the list right here. You can look at all these guys. Marcus Lucas, the Finger Roll, George Irvin, Artis Gilmore. All these guys went on, and so many of them went on to be pro basketball Hall of Famers. Some of them are on the 75th year anniversary team. What are we talking about? The greatest player easily, it's Dr. J. Everybody knows that. You can't tell me, or you won't tell me that, oh, the ABA. You can't tell Dr. J that shit. That was just the ABA. That's a championship, homie, and we can do just as much as they can do, and they showed it. So what are we talking about? There's a bunch of grumpy ass dudes that didn't want to sit up there and merge and all this other kind of, they're Mickey Mouse League, like they would call the AFL and all. Yeah. But yet a lot of those players end up going on and being some of the greatest players that ever played in the game. Connie Hawkins, the Hawk, Moses Malone. Fo. That's right. David Thompson, Skywalker. I mean, dude, come on, man. What are we talking about here? And then the useless debates that they have over there, them pundits over there at ESPN and all them other Fox, FS1, whatever they call them, stuff like that, have nothing but debates about LeBron James and that of Michael Jordan. Is Michael Jordan in the Hall of Fame? Yeah. Is he on the 50th anniversary team? Yeah. 75th anniversary? Yeah. Globally known all over the world, and took that sport globally. Yeah. LeBron James, scorer of all time. All the accolades, this, that, and the other. All NBA, 11, 12, 13 times, whatever like that. Guy's playing 20-something years. He's 40 years old. He's still schooling them on the basketball court. Is 75th anniversary team? Yeah. Top five player of all time? Yeah. And what the fuck are we talking about? When he's done playing, will he go in the Hall of Fame first ballot? Yeah. What the fuck are we talking about? You're talking about something that you have no power over, which is time. Insofar as you don't know when it's going to end. So you come up with these useless debates, cesspools of debate, of them saying, hey, is this, is that, is this, is that? What? Doesn't matter. They're going to both be in the Hall of Fame. They both have 75-year anniversary jackets. Plethora of other players. But I use that because that's the debate that the constantly going on. And it makes no sense. Debates between that of, what's his name? Like I sit up there and saw Stephen A. Smith sitting up there saying, well, you can't say, blah, blah, blah. You can't say about, you can't say that this person is this and this person is that. When the Chiefs and all them lost against Kansas City lost, another great AFL team, when the Chiefs lost, and the GOAT debate is over. How can you say that? How can you say that when Mahomes is actually still playing? He's still playing. He's 29 years old. If he keeps up the pace he does and do some of the same things he's done in his first 7 years in the league, he can possibly win 4 Super Bowls, 6 Super Bowls. Doesn't matter. He's the first ballot Hall of Fame. He's going to go down as all-time great. He's already got all of the Chiefs records and stuff like that. He's done the 5,000. He's done all that. He's the first ballot Hall of Famer. You think he's going to put him someplace else? No, he's going to go to the Hall of Fame. Then what are we talking about? It's useless. Dan Marino never won a championship. Lost the Super Bowl, only went to the Super Bowl one time. I'll take him all day, every day, any day, what day you want. over Brady. I'll take Peyton Manning over Brady. Shit, I'll take Dan Fouts. But Brady played the game a certain way. An ultimate team. He was in my opinion, he was the Bart Starr of his era. Those Packer teams didn't have the greatest of talent, but they was greatly coached, and that's why now because you have social media, everybody wants to damn your shit on. He ran the championship without. That Tampa Bay team was good. They just needed a quarterback, and they wouldn't plug them in there. They figure it was shit. If old crab leg man could sit up there and throw 35 fucking touchdowns, but then turn back around and throw 30 interceptions, well, if you throw 30, well, shit, Brady can come in there and light the shit up and won't throw half the picks. That was easy. That team was already kind of manufactured and built for him. So all they had to do was plug him in and bring Gronk in. Boom, they had a winner. They was a pretty good team before he got there. They just needed a quarterback that wasn't going to turn the fucking ball over. He lost them plenty of games. And then Arians was like, I got enough. He whispered. He was the quarterback whisperer until he couldn't whisper no more. He said, okay, dude, you got to go. Now, I'm Jameis. I'd have stayed. I'd take a pay cut. I'm going to learn from the best. But, quarterback's ego. But we can't say that insofar as about other teams or other leagues that are still going on. They can only be judged really once they're no longer in existence. It will always be a debate. Babe Ruth played in the early damn 1900s, 1915 or 14 and 20s and 30s or whatever. 20s and stuff, Murderers Row and all this stuff. All that time, like I say, dude, over 100 some odd years ago, and he's still considered like one of the top because they still play. It's players that was way more athletic and better than. Come on, cut the shit. Then they didn't let the Negro leagues up in there. I said, come on, Negro players up in there. So like, come on, man. But that's your league. You do what you want to do with it, and they critique really well. That's what I liked about the Major League Baseball shit. It might be just one joker go in, just one, in the Hall of Fame. They're picky in particular. NFL used to be like that, now they're not. But they could do that. So, as I said this before, it's a useless debate. It's useless. It's just click points. Because now, we got a term now, that's clickbait. Because that's all it is. Just sit up there and listen to guys like Stephen A. Smith and a whole bunch of other guys talk that shit. It's like, dude, that's just for you. With all the other sports things they talk about, you're still talking about a debate between LeBron and Michael Jordan. When there was a ton of when it was like 73 other players that fucking played. You don't talk about Dave Bean. Everything they talk about with Jordan, you swear. Michael Jordan's first game, if I'm not mistaken, was October 26, 1984. You talk to anybody 40 and younger, they'll sit up there and tell you the NBA started that day. When the NBA actually started June 7, 1946. And those are the only people to talk about. Jordan holds up 6. Who is he chasing? You know who he was chasing? He was chasing Magic / Kareem. He was chasing Lakers. He damn sure wasn't chasing Russell because all of them guys, even Kareem, sit up there and say, well, I don't think he verbatim said this, but saying that Bill had 11. I came up short. They crowned Jordan, as Arenas talked about, they crowned Jordan in 1989 in his 6th year in the damn league. 5th year in the league. They crowned him. The greatest of all time. He hadn't won anything up until that time. Kareem had 6 by 89, 90. Kareem had 6. The only reason Kareem's still playing because his house burned down and all this other kind of shit. But that's, of course, another story. But I'm like, Everything that you want, especially in the basketball world, Kareem did everything that Jordan did, and he's not, and people don't even talk about him. You talk about what would be a badass logo. That fucking skyhook next to those NBA letters in that red, white, and blue. And him doing that goddamn skyhook. That silhouette of him doing the skyhook. That'd be kick-ass right there. But that'll never happen. Civil rights movement going on when he's coming out of UCLA. Seeing the shirt that I used to wear until my daughter jacked me for it. With Jim Brown, Bill Russell, Bobby Mitchell, a lot of other players and whatnot and stuff like that. Or the whole draft thing with Muhammad Ali. He was there as activist. He turned Muslim from Louis Sindor. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar is a Muslim, this, that, and the other. And he was kind of, he was kind of surly. Which, cats that age, him and my father were like about 2 years apart. Yeah, I overstand the surliness when you come up in that era like that. I overstand that. You know what I'm saying? So it's going to be a little surliness there to come along with him. So they didn't gravitate to, and he was, cerebral guy, but it's like you didn't really fuck with him like that because it's like he wasn't the one that you play and fuck with. You'd be more apt to come up years later talking to a guy like Magic and shit like that. Well, that's, again, another story. But he was crowned that when Kareem should have already been that. But Kareem's like, I ain't do all that shit because, well, Russell got 11. You know how many fucking Celtics got 7, 8, 9 fucking rings? 7, 8, 9, 10 rings? The fuck out of here. And that's in the Hall of Fame. Look it up. But nobody talks about them. And these guys were all-stars in all NBA. But nobody talks about them. Not no bench warmers. We talking about guys that really played. That has just as many rings, if not more rings than Jordan. If we can go by rings, we go by accomplishments and all this other kind of shit. Yeah, we can do that. I know what Jordan said. He's the king. He's king of the hill. Again, hip hop, sneakerheads. Jordan coming in the league, flashy, all of that kind of stuff. You already had Dr. J. You had Dominique Wilkins, if I'm not mistaken, was already in the league before him. You had high flying players and shit like that during that time like that. But it perfect storm, much like Brady and that of Belichick. Perfect storm. And they were able to dominate and end up doing what they did in their respective fields. So how you going to say somebody is the greatest of all time and time is still going on? That's why I say that all the time. There is no GOAT, no greatest of all time, as long as time is still going on. So what the fuck are you debating about? Mamba mentality. Dude, look. All that shit with Kobe. To where I call it a bunch of, as these youngins say, cap, fuck it, lies. Because being in D.C. in the early 2000s and mid 2000s and whatnot, from what I remember, and I wasn't even following basketball, but I had frat brothers that was close that played that followed basketball to the T and whatnot, and motherfuckers was not fucking with Kobe Bryant. Wasn't fucking with Kobe Bryant. He fucked up the bro code. He did a whole lot of shit. He had some cruddy shit. The shit that he was accusing them for, then he ended up getting caught doing that same bullshit. He's almost like he was a phony dude. It's like, oh yeah, he can play ball, but they didn't fuck with him. All of a sudden, Kobe, some years later, he might have got his shit together, man, came on and stuff like that. Oh, he ended up being a cool guy with her, and he passed away. And it's all this Kobe love. Dude, it was a time motherfuckers did not fuck with Kobe. Even with the championship, didn't fuck with Kobe. Oh, the Mamba mentality. Okay. Phoniness on this fucking goddamn, on this podcast era. That really took off after he died because everybody was in the house, so everybody decided to grab a mic and get on the mic and start talking and shit like that. So, all of a sudden, all the NBA players, all NFLs, gangsters, ex-fucking hookers, fucking ex-gangsters, hookers, porn star, everybody got a fucking podcast now and got something to say. Motherfuckers been in jail for 30 motherfucking years, come out all of a sudden, they got a fucking voice and talking about shit while still living in their mama's fucking basement. Get the fuck out of here, man. Now, like I said, it's a great form. You can say the same shit about me. Great form. But sometimes everybody, just because sometimes the shit you say, sometimes you don't need to be saying shit because you really don't know. Nobody, I don't give a fuck about the gangster shit. I don't care about that. I'm not in that world. A lot of good it did you 30 years in the fucking can. But again, another story. So don't tell me anything about Kobe and this and that. But the greatest of all time debate is a fucking ridiculous fucking debate. As long as time is still going on, there is really nothing to talk about. Why don't you just sit up and say, yeah, both them guys gonna be in the Hall of Fame. They both top 10, top 5, top 10 players of all time in the 78 year anniversary of this shit, and leave it at that. Just do that. Just do that. Just do that and be good with it. But no, now what ESPN and all these other, because no, everybody thought YouTube, all this bunch of jokes, a bunch of wannabes, couldn't hack it, couldn't do this, couldn't do that. Then skits and then all this shit 2020 and all this kind of stuff. Now you got YouTube is a fucking voice, and it is a major voice, and these guys is making a bunch of money. I ain't making no money. I don't really ask for money. Somebody want to send some money? Okay, I guess so. But I'm like, I don't do it for that. This is therapy for myself. This is how I do therapy. I talk about the game that I love in a historical way and can break it down. But I also watched other sports a lot and did a lot of research when I was younger. Now, I fell off from a lot of those other sports and whatnot because I just didn't care about them no more. But I used to follow that shit to a T. In the library, I read about everybody. Even I used to know even a little bit of shit about hockey, baseball. Football was one. Baseball was 1A. Basketball, I'm a short motherfucker. I'm a short, stocky motherfucker. I wasn't playing no basketball, but I played because we played outside. You played all three sports, especially if you was from Texas. If you was really like that, you also played track. But the three main sports that everybody sit up there and play, somebody had a court at the house. Somebody had a fucking yard. And we was able to play football, baseball in the yard, and if somebody had a court, we was able to play there as well. And even in the midst of that yard, okay, I'm going to race you, I'm going to see who the fastest, and then you race. That's what we did. You know what I'm saying? So sports was a major thing. But I just lagged in football, being from Texas and whatnot, lagged in football, and just ran it with it from there. But like I say, but it's like those debates are ridiculous, and they make no sense. And now ESPN is using because, we want clickbait because it's clickbait. They're going to watch because Stephen A. Smith is getting ready to break down LeBron. Now him and LeBron is checking him and stuff like that about his son. Keep my name, son, out your fucking mouth and all this other kind of, which is ridiculous on both parts. Because at this particular point in time, he's still playing his father because that's his father. He ain't playing his father. That's, that's his son. So he's going to be a father even out there. So it's going to be issues. Because can't too many other people say, what other NBA players, Jordan had no motherfucking sons out there. He says about snorting coke. Ain't trying to put the business, I ain't put his business out there. Shit, they showed all that. But the point I'm making is that, so Bronny, he's a man, he's 20, 21 years old or whatever, he's going to have to deal with a man. So he's going to have to take the harsh criticism come along with that. But that is done on purpose by somebody like Stephen A. Smith to get clicks, which is what you do in the YouTube world, and that to get clicks for people to come by and check you out. This is it. In the TikTok world, get clicks. People do dumb shit to get clicks, to get views, and hopefully to get a check. That's what it's about. Now, where major reporters and all that, YouTube, that's some dumb shit. It's a bunch of wannabes. They don't know this and they don't know that. Now you got a bunch of nobodies making millions of dollars a year. Doing dumb shit. Watching a fucking, watching a fucking goddamn, watching some Pokemon, watching 25 fucking, episodes of Pokemon, what kids is watching them get the clicks, and all of a sudden, hey, it's sponsorship. And all of a sudden, some 20-year-old snot-nosed motherfucker gets a $2 million fucking check for doing that. Oh man. But hey, still a great, social media has its great parts about it, and it also has its ridiculous parts about it. But let's stop the GOAT debates. Just debate all you want. I can sit up there and have a greatest of all time in every fucking position. I can name all the guys who I think is going to that is my all-time team for the first 100 years of the league in the NFL. And people agree, disagree, or whatever like that, and all that. But it's like, it's again, it's still subjective. My point of it is that the conversation is bullshit. You just see a bunch of grown men up there arguing. Now, you got arm candy up there, sitting up there, voicing their opinion, who's only in there because they look good. And, that's the boy stuff. I'm going over there to boy stuff because women's sport, nobody's going to follow fucking women's sports. Sorry. I don't. I can follow that shit all you want. Simp it. Do whatever you want to do with it. Doesn't matter. At the end of the day, I don't really care about I don't care about half the men's opinion. So goddamn well I don't care about a woman's opinion when it comes to sports. Because you're only over there because men are over there. If men left sports today, if men stop reporting on sports, leave it up to women to go and do it, that shit would die within 24 hours. Probably sooner than that. They know it. I know it. Y'all know it. You know it. Okay? So let's cut the bullshit, right? Let's stop it. So again, like I said, it is ridiculous to even have that debate, and it's useless and it's senseless. Because you can't say it's the greatest of all time as long as time is still going on. AFL can say they're the greatest of all time. And I say Lance Allworth is the greatest player of the AFL. ABA can say it. They're no longer around. A lot of Hall of Famers went over there too. And Julius Erving, Dr. J, is the greatest of all time there. Those are your GOATs. A lot of other sports and whatnot, you can't say it. Why? Because they're still around. Time ran out on these sports between mergers or losing money or whatever case it may have been. But you can't say it. You cannot say it. I say, but you know what I'm saying? You cannot say it for the NFL, Major League Baseball, NBA basketball, NHL. You can't say it. You can't say it. On a quick PSA note, I didn't read everything. I saw Xavier Worthy got arrested, something about his woman and stuff like that. Look, young man, you'll probably never see this. One of your homeboys might see this. Man, look, get your money up, right? Play your position. Do what you're supposed to do out there on the field. That's your job. Leave them funky ass hoes alone. You got so many years ahead of you. Don't be sitting up there messing around with these contagious cootie cat broads out here fucking up your career and get your ass tossed up in jail over some cootie cat. Because that's all this shit is over. Cootie cat. I'll tell Xavier Worthy as somebody old enough to be his father, bro, get away from that shit, man. Get away from that. Talk to your father. I don't know if his father's in. I don't know. I'm gonna go check out the story. I just saw it come across my feed about that. I didn't realize it. Nothing. He's going to jail for what? Behind some fucking kitty cat. Arguments or whatever, assault or whatever it's supposed to be, this, that, and the other. I mean, I tell any young man right now in this YouTube world, any young fella coming out in any genre of sport, any genre of anything or whatnot, go to your boy CGA. Shout out to Coach Greg Adams, Coach Adamas. Shout him out, give him a shout out and whatnot. Go check him out. Book your coaching session and get some insight from somebody that's been in that world. Insofar as he's coached women's basketball, been divorced, been through the ringer, lived in his car, did a whole bunch of shit and stuff like that, been around nothing but women, lived in a state where it's Hollywood, where he's seen it. He had clients that was there. He's seen all the high class, this, that, and the other and stuff like that. In the end, hey, bro, get your money right. Get your money right. Get your life right. Women ain't going nowhere. They was here before you was born. They're going to be here after you're dead. Perfect your craft and stay out of them and stay out of the mother and stay out of the fucking court system. Bitch start acting crazy and talking with you, get the fuck away from her. You don't need that. You don't need that. All right, guys, we'll wrap it up. Like I tell you guys all the time, there is no GOAT. There's no greatest of all time as long as time's still going on. Like I tell you guys all the time, numbers don't lie and get emotional. People do. You guys have a good one.